So far, this season has been off to a crazy historic start, with players such as Luka Doncic, who is currently on his 4th triple-double of the season, while leading the league in points per game. Or Steph Curry, who is setting records for having the highest true shooting percentage of any perimeter player in the league ever. But there is another player who is putting up Wilt-like stats, and doing it all with very little fan and media attention. And that player is Dwight Howard. Of course, Dwight is doing this in Taiwan's T1 league, which is only a slightly less competitive league than the NBA. A league in which Dwight is allowed, and even encouraged, to chuck up 10 3-point shots just to see what would happen.
So now let's look back at Dwight's career to see how he ended up in Taiwan.
Considering Dwight's stature in the 8th grade, it's pretty impressive that he's been able to have the long NBA career that he's had. Growing up, he was always a skinny, average height point guard, with himself stating that no one around him truly believed that he would make it anywhere in basketball. Although things did start to shift as Dwight entered high school, slowly growing an entire foot to 6'9", which caused him to shift positions to power forward. Unfortunately, his height didn't bring along the added weight or necessary skills to transfer positions easily, as he struggled early on, but was good enough to get by against smaller high school players. But in his sophomore year, he had the chance to meet Charles Barkley, who gave Dwight the advice to bulk up, as he would never make it playing professional ball being as scrawny as he was. So that's exactly what Dwight did, which led to his true breakout the following year, where he dominated and grabbed many scouts' attention, snagging up almost every award, including the Naismith, Morgan Wooten, Gatorade, and McDonald's National Player of the Year, as well as being named Georgia's Mr. Basketball. So at this point, the only question was if he should gamble and declare for the draft and rely on his performance so far, or go to college and hope to bolster his draft stock a little bit more before declaring for the draft. Ultimately, Dwight chose to skip college and go straight to the NBA, which ended up paying off as he was selected first overall by the Orlando Magic, becoming one of only 3 players to come straight out of high school and be taken with the first pick. Dwight was against tight competition for offensive touches, having to compete with Grant Hill and Steve Francis, but he was able to contribute through rebounds and was able to finish off his rookie season averaging a double-double with 12 points and 10 rebounds. But this was still rookie Dwight, who hadn't yet added the muscle that would turn him into the beast many fans recognize him as. So he hit the weight room and was slowly able to find his role, making highlight plays with his high-flying dunks and countless blocks that littered him all over ESPN, giving him household notoriety. But aside from a first-round sweep in 2007, there was little growth or success under coach Brian Hill. So it was time for the organization to switch it up and bring in coach Stan Van Gundy, which brought new life to Dwight as he exploded, getting his second All-Star appearance and capping the season off with 21 points, 14 rebounds, along with 2 blocks, as well as making first-team All-NBA and second defensive-team All-NBA as he led the league in defensive win shares for that season. But this was only a glimpse of what was to come for Dwight, as he was about to dominate in the paint, clocking in 2.9 blocks a game while leading the league in total blocks for the season, which ultimately helped bring the Magic to a record of 59-23, leading the Eastern Conference. But it wasn't enough in the finals to beat Mamba on a mission, as Kobe's Lakers ended up beating the Magic in 5. But that doesn't take away from the insane numbers Dwight Howard was putting up that year, as he was enough of a threat on the defensive end to take home the Defensive Player of the Year award. And he wasn't done there, as he snagged up the award for the next 2 following seasons, all while leading the league in rebounds and blocks while averaging 20 points. Of course, injuries in his last season with Orlando would limit Dwight to only 54 games, the first time in his career playing less than 78 games. He would then be shipped off to the Lakers with Kobe and Nash in a failed experiment that was the beginning of the downfall that would ultimately result in Dwight ending up in Taiwan.
Going into the 2012-13 season, most people had the Lakers pegged as the favorites to win it all. As we all know, the team didn't work out and was considered a colossal failure. The whole story is truly deserving of its own video. But for now, we'll focus on what went wrong with Dwight. Unfortunately, Dwight in April of the previous season had back surgery to repair a herniated disc, and after this surgery, Dwight was never quite the same player. This is proven by looking into the advanced stats. While he was putting up somewhat similar numbers in the box score and even still led the league in rebounds per game, Dwight saw his VORP fall from 5.4 just 2 years ago to 1.8 during his single year with the Lakers. His box plus minus also fell from 5.3 to just 0.6. Essentially, Dwight was still able to put up stats on the court, but his impact was just not there. After enough time had passed, enough people were able to see that Dwight had rushed back a little bit too fast from his injury to join this super team in time and hopefully get his first chip. But in doing that, he had actually turned this super team into just a regular old team when combined with Nash's downfall. In fact, Dwight himself was quoted as saying that he probably should have waited longer to return. When you combine this situation with the fact that the NBA was entering a new, faster era with more threes where centers like Dwight, mainly known for their post dominance, fell off across the board, Dwight was unfortunately a shadow of his former self in 2 quick years after his peak. And after the team didn't work out that year, Dwight actually turned down a contract extension and chose to look elsewhere, eventually joining James Harden and the Houston Rockets. After his brief 3-year stint there, which didn't exactly work out due to differences between him and Harden, it was clear that Dwight was no longer Dwight. And from this point, Dwight floats from team to team as a journeyman, slowly regressing year by year for the most part. As by this point, he's getting up there in age, and the style of the game has pretty much passed him by, but he still remains, accepting a lesser role with each season. This is where he gets his lucky break in accepting the reserve center role with the Lakers in the 2019-20 season, doing his part in winning a chip with LeBron, AD, and the boys, playing a cool 19 minutes per game. Despite his low minute count, Dwight actually did his job very well, with one small indicator being that this season was the only one where he had a positive box plus minus out of his last 5 seasons. Sadly for Dwight, this was the beginning of the end of his time in the NBA. When the Lakers decided they didn't want to give anyone over 30 a multi-year deal, Dwight looked elsewhere and landed a brief stint with the Sixers, only to have that team fizzle out, and then it was back to the Lakers the year after that. This brings us to last NBA season. As we all know, the Lakers were a bit of a circus last year and didn't even make the playoffs. And coincidentally, the Lakers didn't give Dwight any sort of serious offer to re-sign. And here's the big problem for Dwight. Even though he's still a serviceable bench big man at the NBA level when locked in, according to him, he got no serious offers from any NBA teams. Of course, Dwight probably could have waited until mid-season and then joined a team gearing up for the playoffs on a vet minimum or something. But just as Dwight was sitting there hurt about the lack of offers from NBA teams, a very different opportunity presented to him earlier had started to become much more appealing. On November 7th, 2022, it was reported that Dwight Howard chose to sign with the Taiwan City Leopards of the Taiwanese T1 League. Dwight Howard was actually going to play in Taiwan. Not the EuroLeague or China, both very popular destinations for NBA veterans to earn a little more cash before they retire, but Taiwan. This took fans by shock, as a player as legendary as Dwight Howard was expected to keep floating around the NBA because why wouldn't he? It's the best basketball league in the world. At the very least, maybe some thought he might take an overseas contract with one of the more popular destinations, but Dwight had very good reasons to choose Taiwan, even if people like Shaq are trying to clown him for it. To start with, the league literally made an exception to the rules for him. Before Dwight signed, there was a rule in place stating that overseas players could not earn more than $20,000 American dollars per year, obviously to prevent the league from filling up with washed NCAA talent that couldn't hack it in the pros. But the T1 league saw bringing Dwight Howard into their league as a massive business opportunity, so they gave him a pass. And since his signing, it's been reported that he's making well over $1 million to play in the 30-game long season. So Dwight is definitely getting a fat paycheck for the amount of effort he'll have to put in. It's hard to blame him there. The second reason is that according to Dwight himself, he's been to Taiwan 3 times before on promotional tours, and has also played NBA exhibition matches there. This means that Dwight actually has a lot of fans in Taiwan. And this is proven by the fact that every single home game for the Taiwan City Leopards sold out within seconds after his announcement video dropped. And I'm almost positive the merch sales for Taiwan City have been through the roof recently. Dwight has also been spotted walking through the streets of his new city and genuinely seems to be happy trying new things and talking with fans, with multiple videos showing him walking around having the time of his life. The third and possibly most important reason is that Dwight was given the keys to the team. If you watch the highlight reels from his 2 official games played so far, the man is looking like Taiwanese LeBron James. Dribbling the ball up the court, dishing out dimes, driving to the hoop and slamming over anyone, and even splashing threes, seemingly at will. He's had monster stat lines, especially from his first game, and seems to be delivering on the hype generated by the Taiwanese fans. This actually has to be very important for Dwight, as he has been vocal in the past about not liking playing in restrictive systems that limit him. You know, the thing he's been doing for the past 10 years in the NBA ever since he left Orlando. And although Dwight has been dealing with a knee injury keeping him from playing more than 2 games, once he comes back, we'll be seeing more monster games popping up from him. Who knows, maybe Dwight will be able to lead Taiwan City to a championship once back and healthy. This is leading many to wonder, will Dwight ever return to the NBA after his confidence and wallet have been thoroughly boosted from his season in Taiwan? The answer is most likely yes, but who's to say Dwight Howard doesn't pull a Jimmer Fredette and just stay where the fans love him and the money comes easy? The answer is not so clear, but if there are ever updates, the Ballbaggers will be here to report on it. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, smash that sub and like button and whatever else you want to smash in our honor.